What kind of heart looks at a child's grave and says, "It is her fault," then boards a plane with a smile? I used to think family was an unbreakable circle. In East Atlanta, it felt that way. Church on Sundays, cookouts under the pecan tree, and my boy Avery racing his scooter between chalk drawings on the sidewalk. I am Rochelle Price, and what I am about to tell you begins with a siren scream and ends with a door that I finally closed. It was a clear Tuesday in April, the kind with soft light and warm wind. Avery had a science fair coming up, and he could not stop talking about volcanoes. I picked him up from his after-school program, and we cut down Ashwood Avenue, where the city had posted new "slow for students" signs. A delivery van rolled through the stop sign like the laws were suggestions. The impact was quick and merciless. Metal twisted. Glass bloomed into dust. My voice left my body and would not come back. At Grady Hospital, the lights were too bright and the hallway air too cold. A trauma team moved like a single mind around my child. Words landed like stones. Internal bleeding, spinal trauma, respirator. I called my mother Dolores. My father Lawrence. My younger sister, Nia, and her husband, Craig. Pray, I said. Please pray. They promised they would come. They promised. Avery died the next morning before the sun decided whether to rise. I was holding his hand when he left. There was a stillness after a terrible stillness, and then the world flooded me with noise. Nurses whispering, a chaplain praying, papers needing signatures, a mother making decisions no mother should have to make. I went home to our place in Kirkwood. Avery's sneakers were by the door. His volcano kit waited on the table. I pressed my face into his favorite hoodie and breathed in the warm cotton smell until the grief burned into something quiet and hot. I picked up the phone and called my parents again. I needed them. I said that out loud. I need you. We are at the airport, my mother said, voice small then firm. A family trip. Already paid for. Non-refundable. $10,000. Your father says it cannot be moved. Mom, I said, and the room tilted. Avery's funeral. We will lift you in prayer from the beach, she replied. We are sorry for your loss, but Nia needs a break. The doctor said her nerves are fragile. And Rochelle, this happened because you always rush. You should have taken the other street. It is her fault. She meant me. She said it like a verdict. The call ended. I stared at the phone. Then it rang again. Nia. Sister, I am sorry, but I cannot drown in your sadness. The ocean is calling. I need joy before my baby comes. She was 3 months pregnant. She had a soft voice, like a lullaby you do not want to hear. Heal however you need to. Please do not make your pain our assignment. My chest felt hollow, but my mind went iron. If they picked the ocean over a child's grave, then they were tourists in my life, not residents. And tourists can leave. I buried my son with the help of neighbors, church mothers, and a teacher who drove across town with a bouquet of paper cranes. We chose a white casket. We wrote letters and tucked them under the satin. I spoke at the service with a calm I did not recognize. The sanctuary was full of real love. The pew where my family should have sat stayed empty. The organist played, "Great is thy faithfulness," and I made a promise to a small white box. I will not let what killed you live inside me. After the repast, I went home and cleaned. Then I worked. Nia and Craig lived rent-free in my townhome near Grant Park. I had given it to them as a start because I believe generosity makes roots stronger. It was time to pull back what I had extended. I opened a file box Avery had labeled "Mom's Important" in crayon and pulled out the deeds and insurance papers I had stupidly let everybody touch. I changed the locks at the townhome. I turned off the auto payments I had been carrying like a yoke. My parents' car insurance, their cell phone plan, the credit card I had co-signed for groceries, the streaming passwords my mother swore were impossible to manage. Nia's car note, Nia's phone, Craig's gym, the storage unit they used like a closet. Cancelled, one by one, clean and quiet. Then I took a breath and opened my bank app to review transactions, a thing I had always done with half my attention. This time I looked with both eyes. A pattern glowed in the numbers, a shadow laid over months. Cash advances in even amounts. Airline charges on a card only I should have had. A line called Sunwave Cruise Lines for exactly $10,000. 3 weeks earlier. My name sat on the charge like a forged signature. I felt the air change. Someone had paid for their vacation with my life. I pulled bank statements for 6 months. I circled 3 more odd charges, smaller but regular, to a boutique travel agency in Buckhead. When I called, an assistant with tight syllables confirmed the booking. For tickets to Aruba, deluxe package, upgraded suite. And the cardholder name they had on file was mine. I asked for the security recording they keep for fraud prevention. She hesitated. I told her there was a dead child and a funeral. 30 minutes later, she sent a low-resolution clip. On my screen, Nia's smile sparkled as she slid a card across the counter to the agent. She was 7 months earlier pregnant, thin face glowing under bright lights. Craig stood behind her, reading messages on his phone and trying to look important. My mother and father flanked them, nodding at the agent's pitch. The card Nia offered was navy blue like mine, but the last 4 digits were off by 2 numbers. A duplicate. A second life for a card that never belonged to her. I copied the video to 2 drives. I printed every statement. Then I called Detective Janelle Hart, a woman from church who handles financial crimes for the city. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she said, "Rochelle, I am sorry for your loss. Bring everything, and come tomorrow." That night, I went to Avery's room and sat on the floor. His lava lamp murmured pink and orange. I pressed my palm to the carpet and spoke to my boy like he had just gone upstairs and could hear me through the floor. "I am tired, baby, but I am awake now." In the morning, I took my stack of papers to Detective Hart. She scanned, highlighted, and whistled low despite herself. Identity theft. Elder exploitation by extension if your parents used any benefit. Wire fraud. If they use this card to travel, airport cameras will give me faces, timestamps, the whole package. She paused. There is one more thing. The delivery driver who hit you was texting a number at the moment of impact. We pulled the record. It is a prepaid line, but I can chase it. My hands went cold. Whose number? "We do not know yet," she said, "but we will." I left the precinct feeling something I had not felt since before the sirens. Not joy, not relief, power. When my family's plane touched down a week later, I was ready. They came to my door in the early evening with glares and rolling suitcases, island sand still clinging to their sneakers. Nia wore a white sundress and an attitude. Craig held his chest like a man protecting thin courage. My mother stood stiff with a vacation 10 over old grievances. My father's eyes would not meet mine. "We need our keys," Nia announced, pushing past me like my grief was smaller than her beach bag. "You cannot change locks on family." "It is not your home," I said. "It is mine. And you have 30 minutes to collect what you can carry from the porch. The rest is in storage. The bill is yours." "You are sick," my mother snapped. "Pain has made you cruel." "You chose salt water over holy water," I said. "You chose a drink umbrella over a child's name on a program. I am not cruel. I am simply finished." Nia tossed her hair. "You always loved being the martyr, Rochelle. You love the attention. Everyone crying with you. I am pregnant. I need peace. You could have avoided the accident if you had taken the other street. It is her fault. You." The way she said it, flat, final, a blade, made something in the room tighten. I held that moment in my hand like a match. Then I lit it. "I would like to talk at church this Friday," I said to all 4 of them. "Avery deserves a proper memorial. Come and say your piece. After that we will be done." They agreed because they wanted the audience more than they feared the truth. On Friday, the sanctuary filled again. Neighbors, Teachers, boys in baseball caps, nurses with tired eyes, the deacons who taught Avery to shake hands firm. My family sat in the front pew, like crown wearers in a kingdom that no longer existed. I walked to the pulpit with a folder. The room buzzed soft and then settled. I spoke Avery's name first, because his name deserved to be the first and last sound. I told a story about a volcano kit and a boy who loved to make bubbles look like planets. I read a verse about comfort and a line about courage. Then I said, "There is something else we must do to finish this." On the projector, I played the low-resolution clip from the Buckhead Travel Agency. The room breathed in as one. My family froze. The camera showed Nia offering the duplicate card, my mother smiling encouragement, my father nodding at the upsell, Craig checking his messages like a man who would rather be somewhere else, and all of them approving a $10,000 charge in my name for the trip they chose instead of my son's funeral. For 2 heartbeats, there was no sound. Then whispers rose like wind before a storm. My mother stood, face flushed. "We did not know. It is a mistake." Detective Hart rose from the back row, badge on her belt, 2 officers behind her. "It is not a mistake," she said. "It is felony identity theft and wire fraud. Ms. Price, thank you for coming forward. Ms. Nia Carter, Craig Carter, Dolores and Lawrence Price, you will need to come with us to answer questions." Nia laughed high and thin. "You cannot arrest grief. We are family." "This is not about grief," Detective Hart said. "It is about your choices." The officers did not cuff them in the sanctuary. Detective Hart is a churchwoman. She let them walk out under their own power, which was more mercy than they gave me. The doors closed behind them. I stood at the pulpit with my hands steady and my knees weak. People looked at me with a mix of sorrow and something like pride. I was not alone. Not anymore. 3 weeks later, Detective Hart called me to the precinct. "We traced the prepaid line the delivery driver was texting at the moment of impact," she said. "The messages were coming from a second phone that belongs to Craig. He deleted the app, but the backups remained. He had been pushing the driver to take Ashwood Avenue to make a drop faster for a side job. He offered a bonus if the delivery came in under 10 minutes. It is not murder, but it is criminal negligence. And there is more." I felt the floor lean again. What more? The driver's last text is a photo, a screen grab. It shows a message thread between Craig and Nia about your townhome deed. Craig wrote that if you were emotionally broken for a while, you would sign papers without reading them. He planned to add his name to your deed through a quitclaim. The crash was not a hit ordered on you, but the push to hurry a delivery through a school zone to get cash faster connected to a bigger, uglier plan. It cost a child his life. Silence lived between us for a long time. Then I said, "Charge them with everything the law allows." The case moved like all cases do, slow then sudden. Nia took a plea on the identity theft, blaming pregnancy stress and my mother's pressure. Craig tried to swagger through depositions and crumbled when the message backups appeared on a monitor. My parents claimed they did not understand, that they trusted their children and loved their grandson. But the bank footage did not blink and the numbers did not lie. The judge did not either. Restitution ordered. Probation for my parents with mandatory financial counseling. 2 years for Nia, suspended to house arrest after the baby with community service at a grief center of my choosing. For years for Craig, with a year to serve for the negligent role in pushing the driver to cut through the school zone. On the day sentences were read, I did not sit in the front. I stood under a courthouse window where Atlanta, heat pressed against glass, and old oak sighed. My hand found the chain around my neck that held the tiny silver tag with Avery's name. I breathed in. I breathed out. The air came back to me. I sold the Grant Park townhome and used a portion of the money to open the Avery Price room at a community center in Decatur. It has soft chairs, a shelf of lava lamps, and small desks where children can write letters to the people they miss. I started a scholarship for science fair kids with big ideas and bigger hearts. I went back to work, part-time and then full. I laughed again. And when laughter felt like betrayal, I whispered to my boy that joy is not forgetting. It is proof that love survived. One night, months later, a message came from an unknown number. It was a traffic camera clip from a different angle, saved by a city worker who had watched my story on the news. In the video, just before the van blew the stop sign, another car slowed and waved it through with an impatient flick of headlights. The license plate belonged to my father's old sedan. Detective Hart reviewed it and frowned. "The timing is tight," she said. "It is not proof of intent. It could be a bad judgment at a bad time. But it explains the way your father's eyes could not meet yours. He will carry that choice as a stone in his chest. The law may not call it a crime. Life already has." I stood on my porch that night, the city hum in my ears, the sky a deep blue with a single star. I said my son's name. I said my own. I said the word family, and let it mean what it truly means, the ones who show up when the light goes out and stay to relight the room. I closed my door, and for the first time since sirens, I slept without waking to listen for a voice that would not return. Before I slept, I wrote 2 sentences on a piece of paper and taped it to the fridge. "You are not what they did to you. You are what you choose next." I chose peace, and then I chose tomorrow. Thank you for watching till the very end. It truly means a lot, and please subscribe to my channel. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from. We love seeing how far our stories reach. Until next time, stay strong, take good care.